Do you know what kind of behaviors you have when it comes to going for your goals, when it comes to actually sitting down, making a goal, and going for it? I was thinking about this the other day because I'm quite the goal getter. I like to set up a goal. I like to go for it and do all of the steps until I accomplish that goal. But lately, I'd say for the last month or two, I've been putting things off a little bit, setting things aside a little bit, and letting myself rest and kind of recuperate after a 2025. The whole year, I really went hard on going for my goals and felt like I needed a bit of a break. So I thought about this a little bit further about what kind of behaviors we have in going for our goals. In thinking about this, I've come up with 7 different types that we can maybe fall into. These aren't all inclusive. I'll talk about that in a minute. These just came out of my head in a brainstorm session, and I thought it would be fun to go through some of these types, say the pros and cons for them, and maybe give a couple of tips if you're in one of these categories about how you can maybe switch your thinking, maybe switch a couple of the things that you do behavior-wise in order to make it easier to go for your goals. I'm Stephanie. I like to come out here and talk about going for our goals and encourage you to not put them off till tomorrow, to take the small steps today to actually get to your goals. So I say that I've come up with these 7 types, and I think it's funny how one of those types is not perfectionism. I've tried to do this video 4 times now, and it just wasn't quite right. My hair looked funny, the lighting was off. Something about each of those videos I didn't like, so we're trying it a 5th time. This is going to be the time that I do it. And it's funny that I realized I didn't make perfectionism one of the types that I came up with, but it's definitely something to talk about here. Perfectionism can put that extra little spark, that extra nice glossiness, if you will, over your goal to make it exactly what you want it to be in the end. But what I was finding with this, and I know you can relate, I know we've all had this before, is that saying that something isn't perfect prevents you from taking that next step. It prevents you from launching that book or that YouTube video, or maybe even it prevents you from getting started on something because you might say, well, I always mess something up. I always mess the things up that I do, so why even try? And by the way, I did come up with a little quiz that I wrote to help you determine which of these 7 types you are. So if you want to go out there, take this fun quiz, it's supposed to be fun. Go out to thebusydreamer.com and sign up to my newsletter list. You will get more than just this quiz. You'll get a little ebook, you'll get a novella that I've written all for free. I like to email about once a week is all, with some encouraging tips and maybe some behind the scenes of what I'm going for. So hopefully I'll see you out there. Okay, let's get into the first type of goal getter that you might be. And this is something we probably all do. And it's the New Year's goal setter. So we all have that time where December comes around and we know January's around the corner. We're going to flip the page of that calendar and we get really excited for a fresh start, that fresh new beginning for the whole year, where we think that, oh, now we have the whole 365 days to get a goal done, to get this thing that I've always wanted to done. Pros of this are that this can be really motivating. It can get us started on that goal, on that thing that we've wanted to do. Lindy's going to join us. She's been behind the camera so far, so now she wants to be out here. We can also start our goal sometimes reflecting on what we've done the prior year, and I think that's a really good setup, a really good starting point for our goal. We can also feel really hopeful that, oh, I have the whole year now. This is the year that I'm going to do this thing. One of the cons for this can be that our momentum can fade. Here it is March already. I've already done a couple of videos, a couple of lives talking about how our goals fade off as the years go on sometimes. And one of the tips that I suggest for this is to set mini goals. M-I-N-I, not M-A-N-Y. Not all the goals that we have. set smaller goals, maybe for the whole month. So maybe when the next month is coming up, you're going to flip the calendar for that, and you can maybe have the same New Year's excitement for that new month. And if you have smaller goals, you can see the progress better when you're breaking them down into that month by month, step by step basis. The second type of goal getter is the event-inspired goal setter. So this is when there's a date out there, maybe a birthday, an anniversary, a reunion, that you're trying to be done with a goal before that date. So we all know the whole reunion thing. I've got to fit into that dress, lose whatever pounds that you want to before that date. Maybe you want to accomplish something before your next birthday. If it's a milestone birthday, this can be really motivating. You can actually use that date to get that goal done, as opposed to maybe just not having a deadline and never making the goal get past a certain point. But then one of the cons is that once that date comes and goes, you might not have that goal anymore. Even if it's something that you want in your life, still that date has come and gone. The pressure is off now to continue it, so you might let that goal fade. The tip that I have for this is, if this is a goal that you want in your life, make it more of an identity for yourself to be that goal, to be that thing that you were striving for that date, instead of maybe doing more drastic things in order to make yourself a certain way before that date. Maybe take it a little bit slower, a little bit more intrinsically, and make it a little bit more of who you want to become. The third type of goal getter is the trend setter. So we all see the fads out there on Instagram and YouTube and all the platforms that people are doing this thing, and we want to do that too. We see that person doing it. Maybe it looks like fun or like something we want to accomplish in our lives, and I don't think this is a bad thing. This can get us starting new things, different things that we wouldn't have done before. And if we're out there on the platforms, we're going to want to accomplish that goal before we show it to the world, before we send the videos out there. Just like the other two, this one can fade as well. And maybe we'll realize that that goal wasn't as important as I thought it was to me, and it kind of goes away. So a tip for this is to really ask yourself, why do I want to do this? What does this mean to me? Is it going to get me to that certain place that I want to be before I get started? Okay, the fourth goal setting type is the solo goal getter. This is the person who kind of locks themselves in a room. They kind of are doing their goal on their own before they're telling everybody. And kind of the opposite of what I just said about the goal not meaning very much to you, this person has a really intrinsic attachment to the goal. They know why they want to do this, and they don't want other people's voices or influences to shift how they think about this goal. They want to go for it for themselves. These are all really positive things. One of the negatives can be that if they need help or they need some support from somebody else, maybe they don't feel comfortable doing that. So the tip that I have is that hopefully you can find somebody who can support you, who you can confide in and tell them what you're doing, and maybe get some excitement from them as well. Number 5 is the procrastinator. We've all been in this space. We've all said, I'll do it tomorrow. I'll do it next week. I'll work on that goal whenever XYZ, right? We've all had that part where maybe we're into the goal and we're in that challenge zone that I talk about. And in order to get to the next place, it's going to take a lot of thought, a lot of time, patience, and we kind of put it aside. Or maybe we have this goal that we haven't even started on, and we keep saying next week or next month it's going to be a little bit less busy and I can start on it then. Obviously, those are kind of negatives because we're not getting to the goal. We're just always putting it off. And unless we actually take a step to say, no, I'm not putting it off anymore, it'll never happen. One of the positives of this is that sometimes our goal brings us stress, right? We're maybe spending more time on it, that we are already crunched for time, and that causes us some stress. Maybe it costs a little more money. It is harder sometimes to go for our goals than to not. But the procrastinator doesn't really have that. And by the way, I want to point out that none of these types are really all the way good or all the way bad. I'm not saying that if you're procrastinating and you're not doing your goal, that you're a bad person and you really need to change your ways. That's not what I'm saying. I'm trying to say that if you're this type and you're not really wanting to be that type anymore, I'm trying to give you a couple of tips to maybe change your ways a little bit, maybe change your mindset about going for your goals so you can actually get to that next step. The next type of goal setter is the ultra planner. This person has multiple planners. They have all of the tasks of their goal written out. They are ready to go. They have everything stickied or tabbed, and they have all the colors. They have taken it to the extreme. They've really spelled out what their whole goal is going to be. Oh, she's going to come sit on my lap. Let's see if we can make it so you can see her. I think this is a great way to approach a goal, that you have things planned out. You know what to expect a little bit, and you know some of the steps that you're going to take. There are a couple of cons that I could think of for this. Is sometimes people just plan. They're planning to plan, they're planning to write the book, and then they're planning that scene, and then they're planning how long it's going to be and how they're going to release that book. But then they don't actually get around to writing the book. So in other words, while you're planning, you could get burned out from just planning that goal, or you might be stuck in the planning part and never actually get started. Sometimes when we do this, also, we don't leave room for flexibility. A lot of times when we get into a goal, it changes and we think, oh, I didn't know that about writing a book. And because you have such a rigid plan, you might not allow yourself that flexibility to shift where you need to go. The seventh and the last type that I came up with is the well-rounded goal getter. This person is what we all strive to be. We're planning the goal. We're actually taking steps to get started. We're really going for it. Maybe we're scheduling some rest. We're being flexible. The con that I could think of for this is that sometimes we could slip into a routine and not allow ourselves out of it, such as we have 20 minutes a night to spend on our goal, but tonight we had a friend who came over. We have this thing that came up and we think, no, I can't do those things. I have to sit down and do my goal. Ultimately, I think it would be great if we had a little bit of each of these types that I've spelled out. Maybe we're ultra planning in the beginning and we're really getting ready to start that goal on January 1st. And let's say it is March now and we've really been going for it, but we need a little bit of a rest. So we're going to procrastinate a couple of those tasks for a couple of weeks. And then we see that that birthday date is coming up and we want to get a certain part of our goal done before that date. All of these can overlap to really get us that well-rounded picture of going for our goals, allowing ourselves the flexibility, and then ultimately staying with it. That's all I have for this. I hope this was fun for you. It was really fun for me to come up with this little quiz, to come up with all these pros and cons and tips. If you want to take your own quiz and see what type of goal getter you are, just a reminder, you can go sign up to my newsletter at thebusydreamer.com. Thanks for being here, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.